The scene is set in ancient Israel. It's a time of war with the Philistines. And every day this giant named Goliath comes out and taunts the Israelites, daring them to fight him. But nobody's willing to take up the challenge until one day, when a young shepherd boy named David steps forward. You already know how this story ends. Let me tell you how it started. This is the story of how a shepherd boy defeated a giant. Picture a vast valley shrouded in mist where two armies face off. On one side, the Philistines led by their champion, the giant Goliath. On the other, the Israelites led by their king, Saul. Every morning, Goliath would come out and yell across the valley, insulting the Israelites and their God. He was a mountain of a man, over 9 2 feet tall, wearing armor that weighed around 5,000 shekels, almost 25 pounds. His helmet alone weighed about 6 pounds. Can you imagine the size of that thing? He had a huge sword and a spear that was over 7 feet long. No wonder everyone was afraid of him. Day after day, he challenged anyone who could hear him, boasting that no one dared to fight him. Meanwhile, the Israelites were scared and unsure how to beat him. They didn't realize that God had a plan. Now let's meet our hero, David. He was just an ordinary shepherd boy, taking care of his father's sheep. One day, David's older brothers, Eliab, Abinadab, and Shammah, went to see the battle between the Israelites and the Philistines. And guess who tagged along? That's right, David. As they got closer to the battlefield, they heard Goliath shouting his daily challenge. At first, David didn't really understand what was going on. It was just another day in the valley to him. Then he heard Goliath insult God, and that really made David angry. When David told his brothers he wanted to go fight Goliath, they laughed at him. "You can't possibly win," they said. After all, Goliath was a big, scary giant, while David was just a small boy. So David went to see King Saul and told him he wanted to fight Goliath. The king didn't believe him at first either. "You're too young," he said, "and you haven't even finished growing. How could you possibly win against such a strong fighter?" David replied, "I may be young, but I'm not afraid because God has been helping me. I've fought dangerous animals like lions and bears to protect my sheep. I've killed them and taken their young." When King Saul heard this, he knew David was a brave young man, even if he was just a shepherd boy. So he allowed David to get ready to fight Goliath. But here's where things get interesting. King Saul offered David his own armor for the fight. Now, this armor was impressive. It was made for a grown man and looked like something out of a movie. But when David tried putting it on, he realized it didn't fit. It was too big for him. David told the king, "I can't fight with these. I'm not used to them." So he took off the heavy armor and chose his own clothes instead. And this is where David showed that he was not just a kid, but a smart and brave young man. He knew that to fight Goliath, he needed to use his own skills, not someone else's armor. After that, David went outside to look for things he could use as weapons. He found a shepherd's sling. If you don't know what that is, it is basically a tool that looks like a flat piece of leather or cloth with a pouch attached to each end. It's kind of like a little pocket. You put a small rock in one end and flick it with your finger. The rock flies through the air and can be very dangerous. Shepherds use slings to shoot birds and other small animals. David also collected 5 smooth stones and put them in his bag. Now he was ready. When Goliath saw David coming, he started yelling and making fun of him, just like he did every day. But this time, David answered back. He told Goliath that God was going to help him defeat him and kill him. Imagine how surprised everyone was when they heard this. No one had ever stood up to Goliath and said they were going to beat him. Everyone thought Goliath would just keep taunting them and they'd never do anything about it. But now, there was a young boy telling Goliath he was going to win. And then, something amazing happened. As Goliath came closer, David ran faster, dodging Goliath's attacks. He waited until he was close enough, and then pulled back his sling and let the stone fly. The stone hit Goliath right in the forehead, right between his eyes. Everyone was stunned. They couldn't believe that such a small rock could hurt a giant like Goliath. But it did. The rock must have been pretty hard and fast. Goliath was stunned for a moment and then he fell to the ground, face down. At that point, David knew he had won. He ran over to Goliath, grabbed his sword, and stabbed him with it. And that's how the giant finally died. Can you imagine how happy everyone was when they saw Goliath lying on the ground? They cheered and shouted and thanked God for helping David. After that day, David became famous throughout the land. He won many battles and became a great leader. He even became the king of Israel after King Saul. As for Goliath, he never taunted the Israelites again, and his giant body was thrown over the city walls. The people of Israel celebrated their victory over the Philistines and over the giant who had made them afraid for so long. So remember, no matter how big or strong someone is, God can help anyone who believes in him. David wasn't the biggest or strongest guy, but he was brave and he believed in God. And that's what helped him win the battle. If you liked this video, make sure to leave us a comment and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.